Then it goes a little something like.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 7 of the Ballrooms and Bachelors Podcast. I'm Camille.
I'm Matthew.
And we have a lot to discuss today, as usual.
Yeah,
Thank you all for joining for the episode we did last week with Mary. I know Mary was really excited to be part of it, and she was chatting in the live chat. So if you are watching this on YouTube now during the premiere, definitely feel free to open up the live chat button. I think some episodes we're definitely trying to make sure that we're available in the live chat, but as we keep going, we definitely want to make sure that we have the audience talking and chatting with each other, and it's not just us giving our opinions and stuff. So definitely feel free to join in and share your opinions that way or in the comments below. But yeah, so there wasn't like a whole ton of a lot going on at the dance studio this week, but we did have 2 very important people there to do coachings and a masterclass. So I hope I'm pronouncing their last names correctly. Nino Langella and Andra Vidilate. I should have asked them to pronounce their last names when they were there yesterday, but they represent Italy, and I think it was the European Championships that they just won actually a few days ago. Yeah. And then they flew from there to New Jersey to come coach us in Glen Rock shortly after. So it was really crazy. I had done a lesson with Nino by myself earlier on just to work on my Latin dancing, and then Andra with I had a coaching with her and my instructor Yuri to do also work on my Latin. So Nino and I worked on my rumba and just like weight transfer like in my feet, and then Andra went through my choreography with Yuri and I, and just she was doing a lot with arm styling and changing a lot of that because to prep for the competition, Yuri and I were really just focusing on getting the choreography down and working together and practicing and all of that. So Andra's like, you need to change up your arms. So we spent a lot of time going over that in the cha-cha. So it was definitely very positive, and it's just great when you have these people that are so high, like they're such high level professionals, and they can really just meet you where you're at. And it's not like it's so demanding that they're just expecting like perfection, because our studio, it's not just for professional dancers. It's for people that really just, they love to dance and they're trying to learn, and we're all at different stages and different levels. So I thought they were great, and we had the master class at night too. So I know you were there, and he was so happy to have you there.
It was really funny. Like Elena, my instructor, right when she was like introducing everybody, and she like make sure to put me on, she's like, okay, we got one guy here, and that was kind of funny. But yeah, it was so much fun. Like you said, with having those high level professionals come in, it's like really, really awesome. It's definitely kind of nerve-wracking just because you want to like be like, oh, I'm trying to do like the best I can. And like the thing is that like, and it's really funny. I think this is why most people like in the coachings or the coaches that come in to do master classes, like I say, oh, does anybody have any questions? And most of the people, no one really talks because we're just all like so nervous. And that was like, that's like me, is like, I was just thinking last night, I just really want to try to take everything in and absorb all the information I can, because we don't get these coaches that come in, or like they don't repeat very often. And if they do, it's like still like a few months or a year in between too. It's like, you really want to make sure that you are taking advantage of the time that they're there and just soak up all the knowledge that they're offering to you. So it definitely is amazing. And it was so awesome. I'm hoping that one day eventually that I can do like a coaching with Elena in my lesson and like show the coaches my routine. So I'm hoping that I can do that one day, because it seems like so much fun, and all of our friends have been doing them and it seems awesome. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a really cool class, and it was fun to see everybody kind of like trying different things yesterday in the class and stuff. And so yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. I definitely agree.
Yeah, I definitely would recommend working with Nino and Andra whenever they do come back. So and if you had seen some of our posts about like from the competition back in July, they were performing there and competing there as well. So that was the first time I had ever seen them perform. And then, at that point in time, we knew they would be coming back to the studio. Actually, we knew Nina was coming to our studio. We didn't know Andra. We only found out the other day that Andra was coming as well. So that was a pleasant surprise.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, just having seen them on the dance floor, like when they're in their element competing, and then having the coaching with them. I think it's like, you see what they can do, and I was like, I want to do that.
No, exactly. That's what you were saying.
Yeah.
I remember at the competition, and I was thinking the same thing. It's like we were at one of the like evening portions where like all the pros were there, and you're like, that's what we need to look like. And I was like, yep, I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely really cool that our studio has those coaches come in and they have the relationships with them, because like you said, when you see them compete either on video or in person at competition, especially in person at competition, because like you're so close to them, it's just so crazy. It's like, oh, they're going to come into our tiny little studio and like teach us some things. So it's like, it's definitely really cool, and I think a huge benefit to all of us as students to have them come in from time to time.
100%. So that was actually just yesterday, Tuesday of this week. So if anyone else from the Dance With Me family is listening, I would highly recommend, if you have not scheduled a coaching or you haven't planned to go to the masterclass yet, if they're going to your studio as well, highly recommend it. So that's just my advertisement. Yeah, I think aside from that, like we were saying, there wasn't too much else going on at the dance studio, aside from the fact that we're really excited that more people are starting to watch the Bachelorettes now, because we've inspired them. Again,
we're doing the Lord's work, like you said.
Yeah. I know. I was like, I think I said it. I'm like, yeah, Mary. Actually, we're going to have a special guest appearance by Mary again, because she had something that she wants to say about the episode from this week. So we'll have her on later on, just for one segment. But I think now we're getting more people, and they're like, I'm behind. Don't tell me what's going on. Like, and I'm getting nervous to spoil who's going home on anything else. But
I know.
Yeah, so I don't really have any other dance updates for this week. Do you?
Not really, because I don't have a lesson this week. I have one next week, but I am excited because, like I had said in the previous episodes, or like the last 3 episodes, that the last dance that my instructor and I have to learn and create a routine for is Jive, because we're not doing Paso in our Latin, because we're going to kind of do Paso in our showcase. So that's kind of why we're just doing 4 dances in our Latin, and I have the routines for 3 of them. And the last one that we're needing to learn is Jive. And my instructor, Elena, told me at the beginning of this week that she has our entire Jive routine done. Like, and I was so happy to hear that. So I'm very excited. Like, when she told me, I was not expecting her to tell me. So like, I couldn't stop smiling. I was really excited. So it's definitely going to be a huge like change, because kind of like rumba and cha-cha and samba are kind of like, even though they're different steps, especially with rumba and cha-cha, they're very like, you can do a lot of the same steps in them, just at different speeds and tempos and stuff like that. But Jive is kind of like the kind of like the one outlier that's like so different than the other 4 in the Latin category. So I'm really interested to see how it goes, but I'm really excited to see what my instructor came up with in terms of our routine, and it's just going to be so awesome to see and learn the choreography and get ready for December and to be able to compete in Jive in December. So that's going to be awesome. So yeah, that's the only update I have, is that we have our Jive routine done, and I'm excited to see it. So good.
Yes, I know, me too. I'm looking forward to seeing.
I hope
try not to like stalk your lesson.
What'd you say?
I'm not going to try not to stalk your lesson. I'll see it in a few weeks.
I'm really hoping that like I don't embarrass myself for doing Jive, but because like again, it's so different. I'm sure I'll be fine, but it's just, again, it's like, it definitely seems really tiring from when I've seen like all of our friends do it and stuff like that, or the professionals. I'm like, man, that's quick and it's really fast. But yeah, I'm excited. I've wanted to learn it for a long time, so the fact that we're going to be adding it next week is going to be exciting. So yeah, that's really exciting.
Yes. Awesome. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think now we shall go into our Bachelorettes recap.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get up to the part before we want to bring Mary in because she wanted to give some commentary.
Yes.
So we'll get up to that point when we'll take a quick break, bring her in, and then we'll continue the discussion. So I do have to say, I think at the beginning they had the whole part with like Rachel and Gabby. Like, the part that we've always loved is when they sit and they talk and they catch up with each other. And I was just sitting there thinking of all the previews that we've seen in the recent weeks, and I'm like, you know what? At the very least, Gabby and Rachel clearly have a very good friendship with each other and with Jesse. So at the very least, we have that.
Yes, exactly. And then, like you were saying, you pointed out that the guys they seem to having a good relationship with each other too. So it's like at least some good friendships have come out of this. So that's if all else fails, they got each other with that at least.
Yeah, the guys. The one thing that is kind of a theme I noticed, and it's like a theme throughout the whole episode, because like I kind of noticed it right when Zach got the one-on-one date with Rachel. Like, Tino immediately seemed jealous.
Oh yes.
And kind of at the beginning, I was like, oh, well, I mean, like, obviously they're going to be jealous. There's only like 5-6 of them
Yeah.
left. And they're not the one on the date card, of course. But yeah, so that was a thing. We can revisit that as we keep going throughout the episode. I don't know. Did you get that same vibe like from the beginning?
Yeah, I did. I had to with Tino.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I
right
did
from the
too.
get-go.
Because like last week he kind of started to give some hints that like he kind of felt like he had it in the bag. And I'm not saying he's like being cocky because he wasn't, but it was more just like I felt like he was expecting. And I've heard a lot of people, like I said, like I listen to a lot of podcasts and like listen to them every week after the episodes there and stuff like that. And a lot of them were saying they got the vibe where like they think that Tino's mindset going into this week was like, oh, he has it in the bag and like he's gonna get every rose from Rachel from here on out, and that's like all he's expecting. And so when he doesn't, the way he reacts is kind of expected, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah, I got the same exact vibe from him too. But then it was kind of interesting to see like the next day when Ethan was talking to him and he was like, yeah, I was just upset, but it was just hard for me. But he like kind of like cooled down after that. But yeah, it was interesting, especially since he had seemed kind of so even keel the whole season. But I think it's just more, again, he probably just was very confident that he was gonna do well, or even though he still is, but I think he thought he was confident that he was going to get a rose from Rachel, and then he didn't. And he was like, well, like I thought it was interesting that he said I was questioning everything. I think that's kind of a little like interesting just because it was just one little thing that didn't happen, but I don't know. I still think he is going to still do well. That's just my thing.
Oh yeah. Well, here we go with the editing.
Yeah.
Here we go with the editing. Well, that's the thing, because it was funny because it was like at the beginning of the episode when he didn't get the one-on-one date, and then later on Rachel's group date, which was, you know, like closer to the end of the episode when he didn't get the rose. Like he won the competition but didn't get the rose, and Tyler got the group date.
Yeah, Tyler got it. Yeah.
So I literally, my notes, I was like, Tino is losing his shit. And it just seemed like very like possessive and like red flaggish in the moment. And then that's what you're saying. Like then he talked to him later on, and I think he had cooled down. I think I don't know if it was just an out of character moment for him because of the stress of this whole thing, and like you said, like that he has it in his mind, maybe that it's like he's got it in the bag and he's just expecting to get all the roses at this point. So I don't know, we'll see how it pans out, because it kind of looked a little bit funky in the previews with the hometowns, and you know, they always mix and match everything so you get confused, but it definitely looked like it was his family that was giving her the problem, but to be determined.
It was crazy though, because I thought it was interesting. I kind of get the vibe that, obviously Rachel really, really, really likes Tino.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like there's like, maybe like he could be a favorite, but my point is like, I feel like the connection with all four of her guys are kind of the same. I don't feel like there's like a front runner to me. At least to me, I feel that way.
I mean,
like 2 or 3 of them could be like, I don't feel like it's like, oh, he's clearly the front runner to me.
No, no, I don't think I have, it could go anyway. I have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, I think we'll start to see as it goes on. I just, we'll get to the thing with Gabby and Nate, because that's gonna be sad. So let's talk about all of Rachel's stuff first, and then we'll talk about Gabby's stuff. Let's do that.
Exactly. It's
because Gabby had the rough week.
He did. Like we were talking about just like at the end and stuff like that. They're alternating bad weeks, which is unfortunate, but that seems the way it's been going recently. But,
and it was a bad week for different reasons though.
Right.
But so Rachel, we'll talk about all of Rachel's stuff, and then we'll go to Gabby's stuff. So Rachel had the one-on-one with Zach, and they had the date with the tulips, like the tulip field, and then let me tell you, when she wanted to stand up on that bike, I panicked. I'm like, girl.
She didn't even like, she made it eventually, but like the first few shots that we saw, she was like literally going over the handlebars. You're like, oh no, come on.
Oh, well that's the clip from the end of the episode, and then like during the date when they showed it, like actually within the episode, she was saying about like standing up on the bike, and then having had that issue at the beginning when she was getting on the bike. I'm thinking, why did you even want to stand on the bike?
She tried it and then realized like the second she stood up, she's like, nope, this is not gonna work.
I just panicked immediately.
I thought the day went well.
I was like, I told my mom, I'm like, I think that he's the right one for her, like out of the 4 of them right now, because I don't dislike the other guys. I don't know, I just had a very good feeling about her and Zach, and I just feel like they're good for each other. So I mean, I hope I'm not wrong in the sense of that something else transpires.
Yeah,
But I
I
don't know.
agree too. I really feel like they, especially with the first one-on-one he had where they did like the whole movie thing, I thought that connection really seemed
Yes.
very strong, and it just
Mhm.
seemed to continue on to this day in the Netherlands. It was crazy because like I was saying, going back to like those, they could go any way with them, because I never get the vibe like when Rachel's doing like one-on-one time with them, she's like, oh, like these guys are okay, but I'm just waiting to go back to Tino. She still seems really like excited for every single person she's with, like kind
Yeah,
of,
now she does.
yeah, now she does, yeah,
Now
which,
she definitely does. And I
yeah,
think,
four guys, yeah.
yeah, and I was just laughing because they also tried the shoes on.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, did they buy the shoes or did they just try them on and make them dirty by dancing in them?
I know, and I love
Like-
how like they had those like random food shacks in the middle of like the tulip field.
The kids
And-
with the lemonade.
I know, kids with the lemonade, yep, and then like the cheese little thing and stuff, and it was like, okay, so that was
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah,
I mean, it was cute, but it's like, how much did they stage all of this and how much was it like they were just literally on this road?
no,
That
I
was
know
why.
exactly, because it was like, it was so deserted. It was just like nothing around it besides the tulip fields. And like, you really expect us to think that all this stuff was there, and then of course they had the hot tub, which is
Yeah,
obviously
the hot tub in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it looked beautiful, but it's just so
exactly.
funny.
We know that's like the Bachelor sprinkling of that area, I guess you could
It's
say.
just like I just imagine them. It's like, and we need a hot tub in the middle of a tulip field.
Yes.
It's just a random hot tub.
Right.
So I was listening to this, actually reminded me of this too. So Ben and Ashley I's Almost Famous podcast, they started having Trista Sutter and Bob Guinea do like a separate podcast within the same podcast stream. So they're calling it Almost Famous OGs, since they were like some of the initial Bachelorette bachelors. Like, you know, back in the olden days when I watched it when I was 11 and 12 and 13 years old. But it's like I watched their seasons. So anyway, they were talking about, and like that's the thing, like I obviously remembered watching it, but I don't remember every specific detail. But Trista was talking about, they were having a conversation about having like the hot tub in the middle of nowhere. And so like, and also just how like the dates have gotten so much more extravagant over the years. And I think she was saying about like she had a date with you know, with Ryan, who is now her husband, and one of their dates, there was basically like a hot tub in the middle of like, I think it was in Seattle. And I think she said it was in the middle of some like busy area. So they're like in a hot tub in the middle of some busy area and there's like other people around. I mean, I don't think having been to Seattle, it's not as crowded as New York City.
Really, no, I've been there too.
Yeah, it's like, it's not the same amount of people. I'd have to go back and re-listen or like research it. But I think she was just saying it was so funny because like people just see you in this random hot tub and they're all there. Like obviously when Rachel and Zach are in the tulip field, like I don't think there's that many people around besides the cameramen. But it was just funny how like she's like, it's always the hot tub date. Like that's always a thing.
Always a thing, yeah. Usually
it stood the test of time from 2002 to now.
It's like the concluding end of every one-on-one date outside is the hot tub. It always ends that way.
Yeah, and then I thought the crazy thing was, I think when they were sitting in the hot tub, that one point was like she was talking to him about meeting his family, and he was just like, oh, I'd love for you to meet them now. And the way he phrased it, I thought his family was gonna walk out from behind.
I know, me too. I heard other people say that. He was like, all right, they're here right now. Let's go.
They're right here. They're right here, Rachel. They moved to Amsterdam 2 years ago. You didn't know? I forgot to mention that. Oh my gosh.
That would be really funny if that actually happened.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen Rachel's reaction if like they were actually there. Like I don't know how she
That
reacted. Really
would
funny.
have been great.
That would have been awesome. They have to do that one time where it's like, hey, you can meet them right now. They're right here.
I mean, they did do that with Michelle's season, kind of. Although that was funny when that guy Brandon was wearing her dad's swim trunks.
Oh yes, exactly right. Oh man. So we have the night part of that day. Yes, it was nice. Yeah, they were again just like traditional Bachelor in Europe. They do like this art museum thing where they set it up in there and to have it all romantic and everything. And this and Zach confessed that he is falling in love with Rachel, which is pretty cool. It definitely, again, you can tell that Rachel loves to hear that, and because she just loves to hear like the romantic things, and obviously that's awesome. And then he went into another conversation, which it's not the first time we've heard this on from a guy on this season, where he had talked about, not to the specific detail of the specific situation, but he was saying that he had been in a really, I guess, really serious relationship, and it ended, and it really started to make him question a lot of things just personally, and then that therapy really helped him. So I thought that was a really cool thing, that they're advocating this on the season, which I think is pretty cool. And it's awesome to see that that they just really kind of grow into knowing who they are, because you can feel it, just overcoming those things, you can tell how mature that they've gotten, and just it's really helped them grow as people, and you can see how high quality people that they are. So I definitely really think that it's awesome, especially since it's like a TV show, to actually talk about all those things that you've gone through and how you've overcame them on a TV show, and just in front of a lot of people, is I think really commendable. And I think that Rachel really appreciates that too. So I that's where kind of the evening portion went. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that, but those were my thoughts.
Yeah, those are the notes I had about I just, he talked about going to therapy, and I thought it was great that he was open about that, and that was something they were able to connect on. And the way he reacted after he told her that he felt like he was falling in love with her, he was like, oh my god, I said it.
Yeah, I know. He was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I know.
I think it was just so it was sweet, and I think it really is a true testament to his feelings for her. So that's why I think that kind of solidified my I think he's one of I think he could be the right one for her. I mean, it's not like I don't like the other guys. I don't know. I just had a really good feeling after this date with the two of them. But yeah. So that was all I had on Rachel's one-on-one.
Yeah,
maybe let's just skip ahead
to her group date.
Okay. Yeah, and then we'll go back over Gabby's stuff. So yeah, that competition was totally
that was really funny.
It was totally a setup.
I know, it totally was, especially since they said, oh, it's the cheese capital of the world, and it's well, here we go. And I love how again, who would expect that Ethan would be competing with Tino on this? He got second place. That was pretty interesting.
Well, I missed exactly what he said, but I think it was kind of Tino's if you let me win, I'll put it down the second.
Yeah, he says, I'll put it down the second you do, or something like that. It's
I was oh my gosh, I was just what? I'm dude, just fight.
I know. It's let's go, dude. And
but I just
do this all day.
Yeah, but I think Ethan said he can't eat cheese.
Oh yeah,
I think he said he's lactose intolerant.
Yeah, exactly. And then he said, but for Rachel, I'll eat cheese all day. He's Rachel loves cheese, but I'm lactose intolerant. But for Rachel, I love cheese. So he was okay, just because he's does.
I just might not be feeling well later. And then they do that. Then they do that whole lifting thing. And then I mean, just while we're talking about Ethan, then Ethan collapsed on the ground later, after Tina won, and then she's like, oh, whatever. I'm like, what about Ethan?
I know. It's
he's just killed over.
I know. That was interesting. They've been really doing interesting group dates on these European trips. They've really come up with some interesting things. From this
one. Well,
yeah.
This one was,
but
I don't know. It was just whatever. They just do these things. But it was funny because they were like, oh, the guy just happened to walk along and do this. I'm like, it was totally a setup.
Oh, I know, exactly.
But I just wonder, how do they do those things occasionally there?
Yeah, that's what I was asking. What I was wondering. I wonder if those cheese weight competitions are actually tradition there or typical. That'd be interesting.
Because otherwise these people are probably what is this?
What's going on? Why are these people doing this?
Oh my gosh.
That was pretty much it with the day portion of the date. Yeah, again, it was pretty short. So then we go to the evening portion, and we actually got quite a bit of other guys telling Rachel how they felt. We got Avon saying that he was ready for hometowns, and that he really felt like he was ready for her to meet his family, which is interesting because it was funny to see Rachel's reaction when he was like, well, my dad didn't like this one girl I dated, and then my mom didn't like this other girl I dated, and she's like, oh no, how are they gonna feel about me? That was kind of funny. And then Tyler said that he's falling for Rachel, which obviously we could all see too, that he just really had strong feelings for her. And yeah, they were all just saying how ready they were from hometowns, and they hope they had the chance to have her meet their families and stuff like that. So yeah, it all went well in the evening portion. I don't know, again, if you have any thoughts from that, but that's what I have.
I mean, I got a little scared by what Tyler said his parents said, that they were just if the next girl I'm paraphrasing. If the next girl you bring home is not the one that you're going to marry, don't bring her home. And I'm like, this is going to be awkward.
This is going to be bad. Yeah, I know.
Also, just I think he's 26. And I think part of it's just like, okay, I'm 31. So I'm about 5 years older than him, you know, give or take. I don't know when his birthday is, whatever. I haven't looked that up yet. No, joking. I mean, I'm not joking, but like I don't need to look up his birthday. But no, we're like roughly 5 years apart. And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know how much of a joking comment that was or a serious comment that was, but I think it's like, I just don't, and I don't want to sound like I'm like criticizing his parents, whatever. But I think the biggest thing is it's just like, don't do that to your kids because like, you don't know, everybody's on a different timeline. Like
Exactly
I know,
right.
yeah, I don't know. That was just, it just was like, I just put like the eyes emoji in my notes when I was like, what Tyler's parents said. Cause I don't know, that just,
That
it
was
just was
interesting.
like, oh
Yeah.
geez, I hope they take this well.
Yeah, I know. Like, especially if she doesn't pick him. So it's like,
Yeah.
and then Tyler, like we said, got the group date rose, which was awesome to see. And then, like we talked about, that like Tino didn't take it too well. But then, like I said, he seemed to kind of cool down after the fact, like the day after. But it was just interesting to see. And that's where the previews came from last week, where all the guys were like, oh, he's acting like really childish and everything. And everything. It was really funny to see them talk like that. Yeah, it was interesting to see because we haven't really had like a guy be like, oh, I'm pissed about like not getting the group date. Besides a group date rose, besides Eric in the first episode for like the first impression rose, and that was
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
that's kind of like the first time since that time that there's been something like that. So it was kind of interesting, but again, it wasn't really that big of a deal. Like he cooled off after a while and kind of realized, okay, that's fine.
yeah. Yeah, so that was it, and then yeah, I mean, I guess we could just talk about, so Rachel then at the rose ceremony, so Zach already had a date, sorry, the group date, the rose from his one-on-one date.
Yeah.
Tyler had the group date rose, and then she gave eiiwun and Tina the rose, and then Ethan went home.
Yeah.
Which I had kind of expected.
Yeah.
But
that would have been a real plot twist if she picked Ethan and sent Tina home. I was like, man, that would have sent like the whole Bachelor Nation in the free fall.
Yeah. I was like, ay. But yes, that was Rachel's stuff. I think, all right, before we get to the part that we wanted to talk about, Gabby's day portion of her group date with Mary, that's what you wanted to talk about. Let's just talk a little bit about, so the beginning of the episode did start off with Gabby and Nate's one-on-one date.
And I didn't have any suspicion at the beginning. Like
I was shocked.
Too.
She actually got rid of him.
Me too. I was shocked she got rid of him, and the way she got rid of him. Like again, it makes sense that she didn't want to drag it out, but like they kind of like walked down the like little like pathway in Amsterdam, sat down, and then she was like, "Well, I'm sorry." Like, but again, and I wrote down this in my notes that I really thought they both handled it very well and very maturely, which I thought was great. And he handled it like amazingly well. Like he was really trying to comfort her and say, hey, please don't be sorry, it's okay. And he was even saying that like when you get the opportunity, you're going to be an amazing mom and everything like that. He was just really trying to console her because you could see she was not taking it well. She was like really like beating herself up over it that she was sending home because and again, I know this is kind of like a if he didn't have a kid situation, like that's like a different story and it's a kind of woulda, shoulda, coulda thing. But I feel like if either she was ready to take that step in her life or it wasn't that situation, I truly feel like it would be a very good conclusion that he would have picked she would have picked him.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like the connection that she had, like I said, with Rachel and the 4 guys she has now, I feel like, and like there was really no front runner. I really felt like it was different with Gabby. I really feel like her connection with Nate was like above and beyond all the connections that she has with the rest of the guys now.
Yeah.
And so it was just interesting. And that's why I think it was just so hard for her to send him home. And it was really hard because that whole kind of day portion like went along pretty like for quite a while. So it was really hard to see her upset for that long.
Yeah.
And it was just really interesting, but it was just crazy how it went on. And I agree with you. I was shocked to see him go. It was really crazy. I don't know what you thought.
So the notes I had on that were, it was funny that when he got the one-on-one date, like the date card, one of the guys was just like, you made the same face you made the first time you got it. And I was like, funny. I felt like it was a good sign, that he definitely does care about her. I think, yeah, I mean, as Gabby's like mentioned a lot, she had a very difficult relationship with her mom. And I think this is, this isn't just the average bachelor, bachelorette considering becoming a step parent.
Right.
To this, like the person that they're picking like child, you know. This is for Gabby. She didn't, you know, she said she doesn't even know if she wants to be a mom, so it's like being in that situation, and she's also just got that fear of like being a bad mom, that she just doesn't want to do that. And I think it's like obviously going to hometowns would entail meeting his daughter, and I think it's just like she just was concerned about like meeting her, and then you know, I think that's where she just feels like then it's like you're pulling it all in, so it's like she's just like cutting it off at the pass. And he, again, I think he did handle it well, because he said at the end, make sure you choose somebody who picks you. So I, you know, I think she made the right decision she needed to in the moment. I think she's like concerned she might have made a mistake. I don't think it's a mistake. I think if they're meant to be together, they'll end up together. My mom actually kind of thinks that they might end up back together, so we'll see what happens.
That's what I've heard people say. I've heard that they say it can't end this way. I've heard people say that he has to come back, which I'm like, I don't think happens. I could think he'll come back. I could not imagine any part where he comes back. But again, like, I feel like if she has this inkling now, it's best to like that she made this decision now, rather than be like, like picking him and then like and involving his daughter in her life, and I'd be like, oh no, I'm not ready for this, and like in the moment, and then I'd be like, that's like huge, like crazy that could happen. So like I feel like if she knows now that's how she feels, it's the best decision for her. I completely agree. It was kind of switching like feelings on this, or emotions, but it was interesting. I thought it was kind of funny where like, and we have this all the time, where like the guys in the house, or this scenario of the boat, they were like all like narrating while it was happening. So like they were walking down, and they were like, oh well, it's going to be interesting to see like if she's ready to become a mom or stepmom to his kid, and like she has to make that decision, and of course she has a good connection with him, and then they're like showing them talking too. So I kind of thought that narration thing was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's like it kind of just works out that the producers are probably just like, let's just let the guys narrate it, like dramatic irony.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, the guys were definitely shocked he left, so I think you know, him being like a front runner, I think was very palpable to them, that they definitely felt that. But I think just this whole situation's like, a note that I had made was, this really just shows the pressure that they're under, like in this situation versus like the real world dating experience. You know, it's like, you think had she been dating Nate like in the real world, like then she probably would have met his daughter, and like might not have been as hesitant to meet her, and then you know, they could have dated and been like, maybe I tried to, I mean, I don't know, I'm not putting my head in Gabby's, you know, like that's exactly what would have happened. But I think it's just in a situation like that, or in a situation like this with the Bachelorette in the show, you have to like think, like you have to almost, you want to follow your heart, but like in certain ways you have to follow the logic of like, is this logically going to work out or not? And you have to make that decision in such like a rushed timing. And that's why I think there is like this feeling of like, am I making a mistake? Because sometimes time works those things out, but you don't have time on your side in this situation. So it's like, you kind of feel like you're maybe making a decision before you feel like you've come to terms with the whole implication of it. So
and I think that kind of shows, I think that kind of shows in her reaction, because I feel like you could tell she had like really been thinking about it for a while, but it still wasn't a long time. Like she kind of like thought about it quickly, but also like had been thinking about it for a while, because the second they sat down, she was emotional already. So like you could tell that there was something that was really weighing on her, and like she just didn't know how to express it to him. And so that's what the whole conversation was just her saying all these things back to this one topic, but you could tell that she just didn't know how to react, because she was just kind of confused of how to react or how to think, I guess you could say. And that's why she was confused if it was a mistake or not.
Yeah, and she did even say like, you were such an important part of my journey and everything. And I think it's if she doesn't end up with Nate in the end, you know, if something doesn't happen that they end up back together, I think for her it really helped her confront a lot of this. I'm speaking from like a therapy perspective now, of like, I think it's helped her confront a lot of her concern about being a mom, being a bad mom, and all of that. You know, and I think
it was a good, very like good learning process for her, for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which I think in the long run will be a lot better than it was like in the moment. But I'm sure, you know, I'm hoping like probably after, like when they do like the men tell all, I'm sure that will be a topic of conversation. So
I think so too. I agree.
Looking forward to hearing what they've learned from that. But
exactly.
Okay, so I think let's take our break. let's go call Mary. We're going to bring her in a few moments, and she's going to give us her thoughts on the date portion of Gabby's date.
Yes.
Okay, so Mary has joined us, and Matthew and I saw her. We just asked her to step out of the frame because we just want her to really have a grand entrance. So yeah, Mary came up to us in class or after class yesterday and was like, can I please come on the segment and talk about Gabby's group date? And I was like, sure, fine. So we set it up. So Mary, please grace us with your presence.
Oh, come on in, Mary.
I'm ready. I'm ready, everyone. I'm ready to discuss the dominant, submissive / dominatrix date that Gabby and the boys went on. It was, first of all, I would like to say it was fantastic to watch. The woman who was running that whole group date was such a strong presence and so amazing. I mean,
you're channeling
I want to channel her now, like all the time. And I realize I'm severely lacking in feather boa accoutrement. I really need to purchase more feather boas. I couldn't fit the riding crop in this. So it's in my other corset. I couldn't fit it in this one, but no, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I do want to say that, the guys really seemed to take it well. I thought they played along well. Even some of them who were very shy about it, they handled it well. I have to give them credit. I can't imagine role playing like that with cameras rolling. I think that's a very pressure-filled situation, and I think they really handled it well. They really took it a little like tongue-in-cheek, and I think that was really really great.
Yeah, I mean, I was just, before we started recording, I was joking. I was like, see, like people are like, oh, you watched the show since you were 11? I'm like, well, we didn't have dates like this when I was 11 and I was watching the show, or maybe we did. It went over my head. I don't know. But yeah, I was kind of just like, this would have been an uncomfortable on like a one-on-one date.
Oh yes.
Like, I mean, whatever, but it was, I just felt like in a group setting. And then I saw
what I absolutely love about Gabby is that she seemed so comfortable.
Oh yeah,
she seemed so comfortable. She was loving every minute of it, and I love that about her. I love her strong, womanly presence there. I thought it was fantastic. And if you did notice, when the guys were blindfolded on the floor, they were much more relaxed. They were much more relaxed when they were blindfolded. Though I have to say, any situation like this where you have a dominant and a submissive, or where you have a need of a safe word like Albuquerque.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment.
Requires a lot of trust between all parties involved, and they're really still just getting to know each other in a certain sense. So the fact that the guys were able to trust Gabby enough and trust the producers enough to go through this date, and then also how Gabby was able to just relax into it and have fun and really enjoy her moment with the guys. I thought that was fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I agree.
I definitely want to make a comment about Mr. Albuquerque. I mean, that was, for me, that was of that whole segment. I just like Spencer, that he just said Albuquerque out of nowhere. And the funny thing was, somebody else said to him, they're like, oh, it fits you so well. And here I am like, why are you thinking that? Well, he answered my question. So yesterday, I know when we were at the studio, I just went on Instagram and I checked his stories. So he shared that the context of Albuquerque was, it's from a quote from National Treasure, from the movie. And he showed like the clip, and I actually tried doing more research on it today, because it's like, it's been so long since I watched that movie, but I'm assuming you've both watched National Treasure. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, and I'm forgetting all the names, but so there's the guy that's the assistant, like his assistant and sidekick, whatever, Riley. So I guess they're at the one part, and then he just randomly blurts out Albuquerque. He's like, see, I can do it too. So apparently Spencer has like this like joke of an obsession that with stealing the Declaration of Independence. So that was like why he said that. So he must have said this to the guys, and that's why they're like, oh, it fits you so well, because it just was so random. So like, this is taking
it's really endearing. It's like one of those friends who has to associate everything in the conversation with a movie quote or a music quote, which I mean, I admit I'm like that, and my friends know that I'm like that. So I thought that was really sweet and very endearing and funny and all the things to kind of lighten up the situation a little bit. And he was really nervous. He seemed really nervous, but I think in the end he kind of was able to go with it more. I mean, no surprise, Logan was like the most at home there. So I don't know.
Wait, no, Johnny.
Oh no, Johnny. Johnny was the most at home and relaxed, and he just kind of like went with it, even while she was squirting whipped cream on.
He was loving it. It was great. Before Mary watched the episode, I texted her. I was like, Mr. Mock Turtleneck is really gonna make a comeback, I think, for you, because I just felt like you were gonna really enjoy that.
Yeah. I have to say, he really did. He redeemed himself from the mock turtleneck, which is not an easy thing to do. I was really ready to throw in a towel on that one. But I absolutely 100%. He hit it out. He totally hit it out of the park on that date. And I think like I said, I think all the guys handled it just really, really took it on the chin, handled it really well. There was lots of skin in this episode. Lots and lots. There was a lot of, you guys could take your shirts off. You guys could, there was a lot of that. They had to get it in before hometown week,
Right. Yeah. I just thought the other thing was Logan at the one point was just like, they had the ITM, and he was basically like, I was hoping this would be a week where we could like really do a deep dive and connect. And I'm thinking, you glad you switched now, Logan?
Yeah, I know what I'm saying.
I
don't know. Matthew, what were your thoughts on the episode?
That's not connecting. I mean, it is connecting.
Oh,
but
no, I know.
in a different way, on a different level, and in a different way, on a different level, not in the way I think he was imagining. But you know what, I think it really did help Gabby see other sides of them, which I think is important, because you need to kind of see a sexy side of the person that you're going to spend umpteen number of years with.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what did Spencer in, as that he went home. I don't think that's what it was. I really don't. I mean, it was just fine, but I don't know. Matthew, what were your thoughts on the episode?
I agree with everything you both have said. It's really funny. I love, like you were saying, Mary, how they took it really well. I love when they like walked in and they saw the women, like the host of this date, and like with the whip, and they're like all like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then they like were just so like, they eased into it, and they're like, okay, because I love how they were like asking all these questions. And then I love, who was it? Was it Johnny? Yeah, it was Johnny. Where they were like, how many women have you been with? I've been at least 10 women. And he was like, do you know who I am? And then she was like, 20, right. 30. And I thought that was so funny, where like she was just like, oh, okay. And then, like all the questions that they were asking, I love how like she was like, I want to make you answer these questions, or I'm gonna like, you're gonna find out with this like whip thing or whatever. And then like obviously they're not going to show the whip thing, but they didn't show the questions being answered either. So they were just like, oh, okay.
I mean, it definitely turned into an adult truth or dare.
Right.
Which can be very sexy. It can be really, that can be a huge turn on for people. So I don't think America was sad that it went in that direction,
Yeah.
I think. And I also think that the fact that the guys were able to keep smiling through it,
that's the best.
Was good. I mean, I do think they were really turned on at the beginning, though, like you said, when they first saw her like all dressed up, and I thought that was fantastic.
I totally agree with you with how the guys, or how Gabby really, really loved it. I love how, like, again, when they were in the circle and they were blindfolded, she could just not like control her excitement. She was just going all in, and she was like, you know what, let's do it. It's just, she was loving it for sure. But we all kind of, that's not surprising.
And they were also laughing. Somebody put on one of the memes, they were like, why do they look like they're laying on a Crunchwrap Supreme?
I saw that. Right.
I thought about it too. And I just think what was the other note I had? Yeah, when Gabby was explaining at the beginning, I'm like, when the majority of the words are bleeped in the interview, you have a problem.
Exactly.
not like a problem. It's going to a place.
Listen, you know it's gonna be
It's
good.
place.
It's going to an exciting place, and we're ready to tag along, Gabby.
Yes.
We're supporting you, Gabby. I absolutely I love the fact that she's game for it, that she's ready. That she's willing to not only explore but also share that side of herself. Which is a brave thing. So good for her, and good for the guys for hanging in there with her. Yeah.
Right.
So Mary, the real question is, when are you going to be gracing us with your presence in this outfit again?
Oh, guys, I mean, I usually don't wear things like this in my regular life.
I would just love to see you like show up to the studio or like, what up, everybody?
Oh my goodness, guys. I could never show up to dance and be like, and maybe
not on a regular
gala,
day,
maybe to the gala, I could do the corset with like something else on the bottom right now. I don't know.
No, we'll do.
I don't know.
Halloween.
Don't give me any ideas.
Halloween.
Don't scare me.
Yeah, right.
Halloween. You're just saying I am.
Halloween.
You're channeling your energy from the woman that was
Exactly.
in group date.
Exactly. And it's like I'm wearing a costume. Yeah, that's it. I'm wearing a costume. It's great.
Oh my goodness.
Gosh.
Did you have any other things that you wanted to add? Any other
Anything?
commentary?
Yeah, no, I just want to give a shout out to all the guys for hanging in there, to Gabby for being such a great, strong woman in that moment. And I'm encouraging you, Rachel, to get in there. Let's go, Rach. Don't be left out. Don't be left out, Rach. We want to see some strong woman domineering, exciting, a little bit leather come out of you too, Rach. Okay, good luck.
I think it was just funny because it's just you just wonder, like, when they talked about the date, and I just would have loved to seen the conversation that they had after that date, but they didn't show anything of the two of them having a conversation. The conversation was at the beginning of the episode.
That'd been really funny.
Rachel and Gabby catching up. So I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see. If
I mean, to be a fly on the wall in that one, that would have been a good one.
Oh
it would have been, exactly.
I think Rachel would have probably been like shocked and been like, "What did you do?"
No, I know.
Exactly. What did you do?
Oh.
Be great.
I agree.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much
You're
for
welcome.
having me on tonight.
Of
I
course.
appreciate
Thanks for
it.
coming on.
You're
I had so much fun as always. I want to give a shout out to my favorite brand, Fembot, in Ridgewood, New Jersey. Visit her, visit Tina Fembot. She will hook you up with everything. Not necessarily like this, but super cool stuff. Super cool stuff for the fall is out. So take a look.
For your daily life.
For your daily life, not for special occasions.
Yes. All right. Do you have a grand exit?
Do you want to?
Yeah, I just gotta find someone to get me out of this thing. It's so tight. It's so tight. I gotta get someone to like undo my all my wrappings and my everything here. I gotta help someone help. Thanks, guys.
All right.
You're
welcome. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh.
That was the most funniest thing ever.
So that was the crazy thing was like, so she joined the Zoom call and we weren't recording yet. And I think the crazy thing was, we're just like our reaction, and she thought we were recording. We're like, Mary, we're not recording yet. And we're like, well,
I know.
Like, we'll try it again. I'm like, I can't even fake being shocked about this
second
time.
There's no way I could have been shocked about that either. That's hilarious.
So we're like, we're just gonna be.
We're just gonna go with it. You can come in.
I can't fake it.
I love like the reactions we had when she walked in. Well, because I saw her and I was like, wow, look at you. I was like, man, she looks so done up. That's awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, Mary just
she's a ray of sunshine.
I was like, and I was joking. I said, listen, you're helping us boost our view count. That's what it is.
Our sixth episode that she was on, it's besides our first episode, it's our second most viewed episode ever. So
if you're tuning in because Mary sent you here, thank you. And I hope you
very much.
And if you're listening this far in, thank you for sticking around. So we're happy to have everyone else joining and listening. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's regroup. So where were we? Okay.
The
night portion of that date. So
Let me get to my notes because I want to make sure I'm like all set. But yeah.
Yeah. So actually, there really was no night portion of that date because
Oh, there
Logan got
wasn't.
COVID.
Right. Yes, Logan.
I love how Jesse told Gabby, but it didn't look like he clearly explained it to the guys.
I know, and like I was hearing like, oh, like I said, the podcast I listened to, like, you're not gonna tell these guys they were like 100% exposed to this dude. And it's just like you're not gonna let that know.
I think they probably knew already, and that's
or they
why.
probably told him off camera, but like they said, Jesse.
That's why.
I love how he just like walked in. He was like so like stone-faced. He was like, gentlemen, there's a situation and the cocktail party's canceled. Good night. And he just walks out.
With Logan, and I'm like,
yeah, I know.
But I was like, oh my goodness gracious. I mean, they weren't all up on each other in that group date, but they were all touching Gabby. So,
no, I know. And then they were all around Logan too. So it was like,
yeah, I think it was just the way that they edited it. I'm sure the guys knew already because I think one of them asked, how is he? And so like, I think they knew.
They probably knew. It's just, yeah, they just edited it to be like, oh, he explained it a different way.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just hard. I felt bad because like, you know, that's like what we were saying earlier. It's like now Gabby had the bad week because it's like, you know, she goes in the one-on-one, she lets Nate go. She goes in the group date, doesn't even get to give away a group date rose. And then you know, so that was the end of that. And then they get down to the rose ceremony. So she only gave out 3 roses because she really only felt comfortable with 3 hometowns. So she gave it to Eric, Jason, and Johnny. So like Nate went home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Spencer went home, and then
home for Rachel. But yeah, like I don't know what you were gonna say, but I was thinking that like I love how they just like, oh, since he tested positive, like, oh, I don't know if that's like in like a contract, like in these like pandemic past times or whatever. Like if you get you test positive, you can't come back onto production or whatever. Because like I love because Gary's the one that kind of like laid that information out there, where it's just like, oh, it's like unfortunate that like Logan's time with us is done, and it was like, well, that's interesting.
Well, that's what, okay, so I think it was, yeah, that's why it was so funny, because I was saying to you in the studio, and I forgot that you hadn't watched the final rose ceremony yet, and I was like, oh, shoot, I was like, wait a second, what about Logan? Like, I totally forgot.
Yeah, I know.
So I think that was the thing. I mean, based on the way the COVID restrictions are, like, I think at this point in time, around the time they were filming, it's probably like, the quarantine time isn't as much. I think it's like as long as you're not presenting symptoms. I mean, I know like obviously previously when they were filming earlier on in the pandemic, when they were like isolated, they were doing like, everybody was going through like 2 tests a week. I don't think him testing positive meant that he goes home. I think it was obviously like isolate him. It's just, I don't know if it's like, is Gabby gonna talk to Logan at another point and determine if she wants to have a hometown with him? Did she kind of just be like, look, whatever, I don't
feel like I can go to a hometown with him, the connection's not there, and then that's just kind of how they edited it, maybe.
Yeah. And then I think that's what she felt with like Spencer too, like she just, you know, she let him go too, like she obviously wasn't going to just keep him because Logan couldn't, and you know, so I think it's like whatever. I mean, if she only felt comfortable giving out 3, that's fine. I think it's just like, it's just funny how like, you know, Logan switched and then we're just like, okay, now bye, you know, so it's kind of like,
yeah, I know,
whatever. I think in the end of the day, like he's not a villain. They just played it up for that.
They played it up, I know. Again, thank God there hasn't been like a true villain this season because we don't even need it. We don't. So I'm happy we haven't had one.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I know I just wanted to make sure that I said was you know, just like with Nate, obviously last week we talked about the stuff that had come up in the news with Reality Steve of this other girl coming forward about information. I think like we kind of said then, I'm just going to wait till after the men tell all. I'm sure the conversation's going to come up in the interview. So, you know, we'll see. It will be interesting to see what happened. I mean, I think Nate handled everything well with Gabby. So, you know, we'll see what transpires.
We'll see what happens. But again, I was shocked he went home. So that's, I agree.
So, yeah, I think, I don't know.
I don't know if there's anything you want to talk about with hometowns, like from the previews, or like anything that like you're excited.
Oh yeah,
about
thank you.
Hometowns, yeah. I know you were talking about this before we started recording. So I'm like, let's talk about hometowns.
I think part of it's just like I always get nervous to go too deep into it because we see the previews and we're like, we know they edited it together to try to mess with us. I mean, Rachel, they literally had Rachel saying, I don't even know how I came out of there alive, and it made it look like it was with Tino's house, but I don't know. it looked like it was his dad that was grilling her at the one
yeah.
point. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. They always try to mess with us, but because sometimes they say that and then they're like they say this one like thing and then they take that clip and then they just
right
blow it up. So I don't know. We'll see. It will be interesting to see how they go.
yeah.
I think the crazy thing, like, yeah, with Gabby, I mean, with Eric, Jason, and Johnny, like, I really don't know who I even have as a front runner right now. And
Me
even
neither,
with,
because I thought it was Nate. I really did. So I have no idea. I could seeing it be Eric. That could be my. I feel like out of the three, maybe they have the best connection, but I really don't know. I could also seeing it being Johnny. I really don't know. I thought it was, and this is interesting because like I was saying a few weeks ago, I wonder how hometowns are going to work with like, are they going to split it up into like 2 episodes or anything? But it doesn't seem like they're going to, because they would usually be like on this like special 2-night Bachelorette hometown special or whatever, but they didn't say that. So I feel like it's just going to be 7 hometowns in one episode.
well,
if it might not be that long. If it's over 2 hours, it can be like 15-20 minutes each per.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, at least they don't have 8. They only have 7.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's just like, typically, even in the past seasons, they haven't just had the hometowns. They've had like the hometowns and then either something at the beginning of the episode or the end of the episode. So I don't know. We'll see what. Oh well, because Not for Nothing, they do the day date and the night with the meeting the parents.
Yeah. So I don't know, because they usually like, oh, come see my hometown. This is what I like to do here. And then, like you said, the evening part where they meet their family. So it'll be interesting to see how they do it with 7 people.
Do you remember in the previews if they had anything about Gabby's hometowns?
Yes.
I felt like it was mostly. Oh, I felt like
I saw him, or I saw Johnny with Rachel, and the only reason I knew that was because he's from Florida, and where they were, it looked like Florida, and I was like, okay, that's Johnny. So I was like, that's who I saw with Gabby. Yeah, Johnny and Gabby. Everybody else, like you said, it seemed mostly Rachel's guys. Yeah.
All right, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. It's gonna
basically like when we record this, I feel like the previews for Monday, like that are more detailed than what they put at the end of the last episode, start coming out like when this is airing.
Right.
So when we're recording right now, like they don't have them out yet, but I don't know. We'll see. There's definitely going to be some drama that happens after the overnights because they kept playing that audio clip of the "you change your mind after overnights." I'm like, oh geez, who is this? So I don't know.
Like patented Bachelor drama in the last few weeks of the season. Yep. Always.
Yeah, it's like, because it's typically the hometowns, the
tell-all,
the overnights, and then the finale, and then after the final rose and announcing of the new Bachelor or something.
Bachelor, whoever, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess. Well, then again, I mean, because technically Paradise is next, so then you're wondering. I don't know. Looking ahead.
Yeah.
If they had to pick a Bachelor from the guys still there, actually, no, not from the guys still there. I think they might pick Nate.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did either.
Well, barring how this situation goes down.
Yeah. Because I was hearing, like I said, there were some people that I watched, and they were like, "Oh, everybody is probably automatically going to be like, oh my gosh, like how could he do this? Like he's at fault and everything." But there's no underlying details of any of this. So he could have like, maybe he didn't trust the woman to like introduce the kid or whatever. Like we have no idea.
I think it was a year and a half though.
So I have no idea. But like we can't.
We'll
like
find out.
If it works out for him in the end of this whole situation, I could see them picking him for sure. I could see him. I could also see if eiiwun is not picked by Rachel, I could see him.
Maybe Johnny. Maybe Johnny.
I was looking back actually when I was watching the rose ceremony and like the end of the episode, I was like, is my list still pretty accurate? And it actually is. Besides Jordan V, which obviously he went home for one-on-one, but everybody else is still there. And
I crossed Spencer off my list though, but like, Rachel.
I had to cross Nate. I had to cross Nate, and Nate and Mario off my list for Gabby, but everybody else is the same for me.
Yeah, I had eiiwun for Rachel, Eric is still there for Gabby, and then Jason and Tino and Zach I had just as like, I don't know who, but yeah, so I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. It's gonna be interesting last like 3, 4, 5 weeks of this season.
But oh my goodness. All right.
You want to close
anything else? Yeah.
I think that's it. It was pretty crazy episode as always. I'm interested to see how hometowns are. I always love seeing hometowns just because I think it's kind of cool seeing like where they're from and kind of like what makes them and their families and stuff like that. And I've heard it must be interesting because I've heard from like other podcasts and stuff like that that the producers sometimes show up like a week to 10 days before, or a producer shows up a week to 10 days before the crew gets there. So like they're like kind of like filling them in on like what's been going on. But I also heard that they can't spoil it for any of them. So like, oh, where they've been traveling, like who they like with, and so they can't say anything. So they have to keep it very secretive to the family. Which is
and
thing.
Especially in this situation, like the guys don't really know, like the parents will know like Rachel and Gabby, but then they're probably also wondering, am I meeting Rachel or am I meeting Gabby? Like they probably don't even know.
Exactly. Yeah, they might not even know who's coming in with it. Yeah,
that's like an extra level of surprise that I guess the parents and the family have for this season, so that'll be interesting.
Right. So yeah, like I said, I've always loved Hometown, so I'm excited to see what that's gonna be like for sure.
Oh goodness. All right, well, if you are watching us live on YouTube, or even not live during the premiere but you're watching us on YouTube, please remember to like the video, subscribe to our channel so that way you get the updates, and then follow us on Instagram at Ballrooms and Bachelors. Our individual Instagrams are linked in the bio of the Instagram page. We definitely try to post some content on Instagram in addition to the podcast episodes on YouTube, and we post stuff on our story and clips and stuff like that. So, and if you have any ideas, questions, things that you want us to talk about, just put them in the comments or DM us and we will try to incorporate them in the episode.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for listening.
Have a good one, everybody.
You too. See you guys later.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.